Welcome everyone to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Heinz Field, where today the Pitt Panthers play host to the third-ranked team in the country, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, who come to Pittsburgh at 4-0. It's the first road game of the season for the Fighting Irish. A crowd of about 5,500. You're watching college football presented by PlayStation 5, and this is the ACC on ESPN. This year, the Fighting as a conference member of the ACC without its third-year starting quarterback Kenny Pickett, sitting out for the second week in a row with a right ankle injury. He didn't play in their loss last week at Miami. They have an off week next week. They hope he'll be back in 2 weeks when they take on Florida State. Hi everybody, Sean McDonough along with Todd Blackledge. Delighted to have you with us. Notre Dame off to a solid start, Todd. We talked to Brian Kelly, their coach, last night. He was very direct, as he always is. He said this whole season is about winning the ACC, getting in the college football playoff. If we're going to do that, we need to beat Clemson on November 7th. They have 2 games to go before then. He said right now they're not playing football good enough to do all of that.
They check a lot of boxes now. Their running game's outstanding, very stout defense, solid special teams, but the one area that's missing is their passing game. Only 180 yards a game, and most glaringly only 8 completions of 20 yards or more. So it's really up to Ian Book, the veteran quarterback, and these wide receivers to get on the same page and fix this passing game, because if they don't get better and get better quickly, not only will they not be good enough to beat Clemson in a couple of weeks, they won't be good enough to beat Pitt today, because this is the best defense they will have seen all year.
It's the #1 rushing defense in the country at Pitt, and Notre Dame's success has been on the ground, 7th in the country in rushing as a team, and the tone setter is Kyren Williams as we bring in Todd McShay.
Yeah, Sean, Kyren just burst on the scene with 205 total yards in that first game against Duke. I didn't even know who he was, and all of a sudden I'm watching the game, and his ability to make the cutback run as a zone runner is so important. His vision, his instincts, and then the ability to stick his foot in the dirt and cut back the opposite way, it really is what makes him special. He also does a really good job for a smaller back at just around 200 pounds of creating yards after contact. And then the other thing is in the passing game. They're using him out wide, putting him in the slot. You see here in the screen game his ability to get to that second gear so quickly. He is really the offense for Notre Dame, and everything runs through him.
Excellent receiver as well. They'll try to get him matched up on some linebackers today, as Pitt will play a lot of man-to-man defense as usual. Alex Kessman kicked off for Pitt. Notre Dame won the toss and elected to receive. And here's Ian Book. 3rd all-time in winning percentage among quarterbacks at Notre Dame. He's 24-3. 3rd in passing touchdowns behind Brady Quinn and Tommy Rees. He could catch Tommy Rees with 1 today. And 5th all-time in passing yards in Fighting Irish history. More than 6,800 for the graduate student in the Sacramento, California area. Only the Heisman Trophy winner, Johnny Lujak, who went 21-1 tie, and Tony Rice, who went 28-3, have a better winning percentage as Notre Dame's starting quarterback than Ian Book.
You mentioned the man defense that Pitt likes to play. They're going to invite Ian Book to throw the football down the field.
Starts with Kyren Williams as the back. A play fake to him, and the pass incomplete off the hands of Tommy Tremble, part of a talented and deep tight end group. Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, so we need to get Tremble even more involved.
Yeah, he's a big physical guy in the run game, but he's also a big target in the passing game. And the combination of he and Michael Mayer are 2 outstanding receiving tight ends.
On the ground, Kyren Williams out to the 29-yard line. Rashad Weaver made the tackle. He's one of the 2 outstanding starting defensive ends, along with Patrick Jones.
That's going to be a fun matchup to watch. These 2 veteran offensive tackles of Notre Dame against 2 of the best edge rushers in college football.
It's one of the best offensive lines in the country. Every starter back from last year. Book with plenty of time, but couldn't find somebody. He's a good runner, and he dives down. Will they give him the mark at the 35? It looks like he got just enough. And another list that he's on in Notre Dame history, he's second all-time in rushing yards among quarterbacks with more than 1,150. Only Tony Rice ran for more among Notre Dame signal callers.
Now nobody open downfield. He gets by one tackle. Servasia Dennis had a chance to get him. Servasia Dennis had a chance to get him. Couldn't get him on the ground.
He passed the Servassier on his way to the first down.
Love that man.
Look, a little over 6 feet tall, 206 pounds. Play clock running down, and they call a timeout with the play clock at 1. Dwayne Height.
Notre Dame, their first timeout of the half. 32nd timeout.
Dwayne Height is the referee. There's Brian Kelly in his 11th year as head coach at Notre Dame, and he really put it on Ian Book.
He did.
He said he needs to be more decisive, more aggressive, stop trying to be perfect, fit a ball in there every now and then, and make some plays.
Well, I think, you know, last week in watching them against Louisville, they only managed one touchdown. They won 12-7. They only had 7 offensive possessions, but they never tried to throw the football down the field. It was a very strange game to watch, and I think that's what Brian Kelly's saying. Look, you proved it. Last year you threw over 3,000 yards, 34 touchdowns. You can get it done. They've had injury problems with their wide receivers. They've a little bit of lack of chemistry, but he has to take charge and go ahead and take some shots against tight coverage today.
I love what he said. He said, if it looks right, let's go. Just make the throw, you know. Just don't stop thinking about it and just react.
You saw the graphic. They've leaned very heavily on the run, successfully so. 7th in the country in rushing offense, with Pitt's the best run defense in the country, and they stopped that run from Kyron Williams after pickup of 2.
This defense, Pat Narduzzi runs, same one that Mark D'Antonio ran at Michigan State. A lot of quarters, which is a man concept coverage, but their linebackers play downhill, and they really come after the run game, particularly strong.
On 2nd and 7, pressure, and Book again runs away from it. He stumbled as he crossed the 40, but turned it into a gain of a couple.
Well, Rashad Weaver, we talked about these edge rushers. There's also a corner blitz coming from this side, and Ian Book had to scramble again. Nobody opens up quickly. Weaver with the quick pressure got by Liam Eichenberg, the left tackle.
Eichenberg, the left tackle, Aaron Banks, the left guard, Jared Patterson, the center, Tommy Kramer, the right guard, and Robert Hainsey, the right tackle. 132 combined career starts. The check down to Michael Mayer, the tight end, terrific freshman. They call him Baby Gronk. Wears the same number 87 as the great Rob Gronkowski, and he has a first down into Pitt territory to the 47.
And they love to run the shallow cross with Baby Gronk, if you will, Mayer. He's so physical. He's so good after the catch. And he's tough to stick with in terms of what he does as a route runner. But they love that shallow cross with Mayer, and it's really been a go-to on 3rd downs.
12-yard gain. Notre Dame calls itself tight end U. They've had a lot of terrific ones, and Mayer's the next in line. That pass is too high. Intended for Javon McKinley. Remember, we spoke with Brian Kelly about Mayer. He said he is the most impressive freshman tight end that I've coached, and he's coached some standouts.
He has the ability to accelerate after the catch, which you don't see with big tight ends very often. And they've had great tight ends here at Notre Dame under Brian Kelly. But this guy is special.
For the NFL right now. They split him out wide. He's out of Independence, Kentucky. Now shifts in closer. 2nd and 10. Book again forced to step up. Swings it out wide. Avery Davis has another Notre Dame first down. So it hasn't looked pretty on some of these pass plays, but they're moving. DeMar Hamlin and Paris Ford, 2 outstanding safeties, made the play on Davis.
Well, it's the ability of Ian Book to scramble or move up in the pocket and buy a little more time. And they've converted on 3rd down because of his ability in the pocket.
14-yard gain. They're in field goal range now. Here's Williams trying to get around the corner. There's a flag thrown at the end of the line where Williams got a block. Paris Ford, the preseason All-American safety, made the stop.
Personal foul, face mask, offense, number 69, 15-yard penalty, replay, first down.
Well, they got Aaron Banks, the left guard. What a powerful block by Tommy Tremble. Watch the tight end come in here and get a block right on the edge. The penalty is going to be on the left guard, but Tommy Tremble is a physical blocking tight end. In fact, Pat Narduzzi said he might be the best looking tight end, most physical tight end that I've seen in the last 5 or 6 years.
Tremble's 6'4", 248. Redshirt sophomore. And their leading receiver with 10 catches in the first 4 games. It's 1st and 21. They're back at the 44-yard line of Pitt again. Book flushed across the line of scrimmage, and he scurries out of bounds inside the 35. They'll give him the 34.
Now watch what Tremble did on this play, Sean. This is impressive. You know the new rule that you can't come back and get a blindside block. He knows he wants to help his quarterback, but watch him just get in the way of the linebacker instead of hitting him, and just a very smart play in the open field by the tight end.
Ian Book, 19 yards rushing now on 3 carries. He throws down the middle and caught. It's Ben Skoranek with his first touchdown as a member of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. The grad transfer from Northwestern, who's been bothered by a hamstring injury, has his 3rd catch for Notre Dame. It's a 34-yard score.
Well, he's a big body. He's a big target. And Ian Book, who has moved in the pocket, this time steps up again. Under duress, finds Skoranek, and then Paris Ford, one of the best players in this Pitt defense, made a costly mistake, went for the football, missed it, and the result's a touchdown.
The ability of Ian Book to avoid the rush, the key factor on that opening drive as they go 75 yards in 11 plays. And Jonathan Dorer adds the extra point. So a nice start on the road for the Irish. That's career touchdown pass number 61 for Ian Book. As a reminder, you can watch today's game in 4K on DirecTV, Optimum, and Xfinity as a part of the Samsung QLED 4K Game of the Week. On the banks of the Allegheny River, nice start for Notre Dame. First road game of the season for the Irish. Took the opening kickoff, went down the field and scored a touchdown. Here's DJ Turner bringing back Dorer's kickoff. Nice return. He's across the 35 and out of bounds. It's a good field position to start for Joey Yellen, making his 2nd start for Pitt. He's in his 1st year here. Spent last year at Arizona State, where he backed up a fellow true freshman, Jaden Daniels. So here's career start number 3. How about his history, Todd Blackledge? His first start, his only start for the Sun Devils last year, was against USC. Then he was the backup here at Pitt to start the year. He plays at Miami, and his 3rd start's against Notre Dame. So he's gone against 3 of the heavyweights of all time in college football.
Yeah, that's a pretty good resume for starters.
Very poised. He played well against Miami in that loss, and he swings one out over the head of DJ Turner. Playing in place of Kenny Pickett, their starter, out with an injured ankle. It's team, there's Pickett in the coach's box upstairs, that has really struggled to run the ball.
Yeah, especially the last 3 weeks. They ran it okay the first 3 games that they won. Last 3 weeks, a real struggle.
They come out throwing again. And it's Jordan Addison, the true freshman, and he's the man they want to feature in that passing game.
And those little throws like that are almost like runs. When you know you're struggling to run the football, get the ball out quickly in space, and it really becomes like a run.
Yellen didn't play enough last year at ASU to use up the year of eligibility, so he's still the redshirt freshman out of Mission Viejo, California. They bring a blitz after him on 3rd and 6, and he's on target for a first down to Trey Tipton across midfield, and they'll run quickly up to the ball.
The thing I really like about Yellen, when I watched him on film last week against Miami, he knows what he wants to do with the ball. He sees the field very well. He's a very astute quarterback.
22 for 46 in their loss in Miami. At the 11-yard completion attempted, an incomplete pass. Here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Sean, I asked Pitt center Jimmy Morrissey about their 22 yards rushing last week. He was emotional, calling it an embarrassment, and told me their offensive line stayed 2 hours late every night this week, watching film, trying to diagnose their issues in the run game. And he said this game was about pride. He was out in the middle of the field pregame trying to fire up his teammates, and he said this is an opportunity for their team to earn their respect back, Sean.
Morrissey, one of their team captains, 2-time team captain, and again they cannot run the ball as Vincent Davis got blasted by Kurt Heinisch, who is excited to play here today. He's from Pittsburgh, out of Central Catholic.
Again, this is a very stout and solid defense, and Heinisch, a Pittsburgh guy, right there. The little slant ran right into it. Love the war paint too, coming back home. Braveheart.
Number of Western Pennsylvania players on this Notre Dame team. Yellen locks it up, and it is caught. Terrific catch at the 26-yard line. Now they're ruling it incomplete, says one official. They're running up to mark the ball. Pitt thinks it's a complete pass, or maybe the official on the near side is just telling the sideline to back up.
4th down.
Now the ruling is incomplete. The question is, he got a foot down. Did he have control of the football when the foot came down?
Why is that not a catch? It's Shockey Jacques Louis.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. The previous play is under further review.
And as they take a look at it in the booth, we'll take a break.
College football on ABC is presented by PlayStation 5. Play has no limits.
Back at Heinz Field, the confluence of the Ohio, Allegheny, Monongahela rivers. After review by Rusty Acree in the replay booth, this was deemed a catch and a terrific one for a 22-yard gain. Yellen to Jacques Louis. So the call on the field is overturned, and it's 1st and 10 Pitt at the Notre Dame 27. First possession for the Panthers, and they're down 7-0 with 7 minutes having been played. Notre Dame brings a blitz, and that pass is incomplete. It was forward for Jordan Addison.
Well, right now, Mark Whipple, the offensive coordinator, is saying, you know, we're not going to bang our head trying to run the football inside too much early against this Notre Dame defense. But we're going to throw a lot of swings and turn those into runs outside.
Yellen given time over the middle into traffic and incomplete. Trying to thread it through to Taysir Mack.
A lot of traffic in there. Actually lucky that didn't turn out worse for him. Safety DJ Brown, number 12, in position to make a play on the football.
Could have turned out very poorly for Mack as well.
Yes.
Irish secondary playing without Tariq Bracy, who's been a starting corner, inactive today. No reason given.
It's a true freshman in his place, Clarence Lewis, number 26, up at the top of the screen right here.
Coaches say he's been the most pleasant surprise of the early season. Yellen surrounded, throws it at the feet of Taysir Mack. So it's 4th down, and they'll try a long field goal with a kicker who has plenty of leg. Alex Kessman comes on. Made a 58-yarder at Boston College earlier this season in their 1-point loss. The longest in Pitt history, broke his own record. He's also made the longest field goal in the history of this stadium, a 55-yarder, and that's college or pro. That was against Syracuse back in 2018. From 45 yards, right down the middle. Kessman with his 58th career field goal made. That's more than any kicker in Pitt history. Fifth-year senior from Clarkston, Michigan. Town that gave us the Fifes. Basketball. Dugan Fife, Kane Fife, Dan Fife. There's Ian Book's touchdown pass, and this moves him up to second all-time at Notre Dame. 61 career touchdown passes. Now tied with his offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees. Thought maybe Tommy would stop calling pass plays so Ian would catch him. But how about the mark set by Brady Quinn? That's going to be tough to catch. 95 career touchdown passes.
It was interesting talking to Tommy Rees yesterday. He and Ian Book have been together a long time, have a great relationship. Some real heart-to-heart meetings, and he said, your game against Louisville was the worst I've seen you play.
Kessman's kickoff down to Chris Tyree, talented true freshman who does not reach the 20-yard line. Tackled by Brandon George. The Big Ten season has begun this weekend, earlier this afternoon, and tonight we'll have the oldest trophy game in college football. Michigan and Minnesota for the Little Brown Jug, the 98 version. First time they played for the Jug was back in 1903. That's 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Tonight on ABC and the ESPN app. They try to get the passing game going. Ian Book without Kevin Austin. They hope to have him today, but he broke his foot again in practice this week. I don't know how long he'll be out, perhaps for the season. It's Kyron Williams on the run on first down.
One of the good things for Notre Dame, they do have Braden Lenzy out on the field. He started this possession, number 0. They really feel like he's a guy that has the ability to take the top off the defense, and they've been missing that here through the first 4 games of the season.
Hampered by a hamstring injury. And Kyron Williams bounced outside, then he lowered his shoulder into Jason Pinnock. And it looks like Williams got the first down for Notre Dame.
We talked to Tommy Rees. He says we have 2 tone setters on our offense. One of them is our tight end Tommy Tremble, and the other one is that guy Kyron Williams. The way they play, the physicality that they play with, they set the tone for our whole offense, and that's the identity of this Notre Dame offense right now.
Book swings it out far side of the field. We mentioned Williams, an excellent receiver. He got face masked right in front of the Irish sideline. Plenty of assistance for the officials. It was Paris Ford who inadvertently grabbed the headgear.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 12. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
Pitt's been a heavily penalized team, averaging 7.7 penalties per game.
And conversely, Notre Dame, one of the best in the country at not being penalized.
Yeah, they've been penalized fewer than 4 times per game. Ian Book drops back, flings it deep, looking for Lenzy in single coverage, and it falls incomplete. Marquez Williams, a cornerback, redshirt sophomore from Pompano Beach, Florida, had the coverage.
Marquez Williams in perfect position, got a hand on the jersey, a little bit of a grab, might have been able to call something there, but his eyes are on the football. He's able to make a play on it. Ball slightly underthrown by Ian Book on that one.
There's a flag on the play.
Personal foul. Offense, number 74. 15-yard penalty. Replay. First down.
Liam Eichenberg, graduate student of a powerhouse in Cleveland, St. Ignatius. Played for the legendary Chuck Kyle.
Quite a program. Great history there.
Had a nice career in Notre Dame, 31st career start, all in left tackle. Brings the Irish back to their own 38. Notre Dame leading 7-3. Chris Tyree at running back, and Weaver's been a presence here in the first quarter. Dumps him for a loss. Back to the 33-yard line.
Well, this is where Weaver has really improved the last 2 years, is his strength and his ability to play the run. He always was a great pass rusher. Great discipline on that time. Comes inside the block of the tight end, stays right there and sets the edge of the defense. Does not let the ball carrier outside, and then gets the tackle for loss. And that's what this defense specializes in. Tackles behind the line of scrimmage and sacks.
Weaver missed all of last season with a knee injury. On the delay, Kyron Williams ahead for just 2 after Tyree's carry lost 5. Elijah Cansey and Phil Campbell to stop for the Pitt Panthers.
Keep an eye on these safeties. The Pitt safeties are so important to this scheme because, as Todd mentioned before, it's basically a cover 0, which is man-to-man across the board. They're doing a great job in coverage, but they are so physical on every single play and so critical to stopping the run.
3rd and 27, and they keep it on the ground, and the blitz dumps Williams for another loss. Servassier Dennis, the sophomore from Syracuse, New York, their leading tackler on the year.
Well, he kind of baits him. Here's Servassier Dennis right here. He's kind of acting like he's going to go back. Comes in at the last minute on the blitz. Anticipating run, got into the backfield, and the second time on this possession, a tackle for loss.
He's up around the line. Their game at Boston College. He had 4.5 tackles for a loss in that game.
Had 15 tackles for loss last week in a loss at Miami.
Jay Bramlett's punt is muffed. And DJ Turner got back on it at the 27-yard line. 42-yard punt. Pitt back on offense, down 7-3 when we come back. We have the AT&T 5G Skycam with us here at Heinz Field today. Brisk and overcast day here in the Steel City. 52 degrees with a light breeze. It's near 80 here the last couple of days. Cooled off last night. Pitt still cannot run the ball. Vincent Davis dropped for a loss. Here's Kevin DeGandhi.
Good afternoon. Sean, Penn State opening up their season at Indiana. 4th and goal, Sean Clifford. Mark, what do you see?
4th and goal. They had a great sell up front, showed run, and all alone in the back of the end zone, Pat Fryermuth. He's got to be their #1 target today.
That's your guy. Penn State on the board first, 7-0. Sean, back to you.
Did I even get a smile out of Todd Blackledge?
I was not listening. I'm sorry.
Your alma mater's ahead.
Okay, good.
7-0.
Good.
Their season opener. Loss of 2 after a nice play by Justin Ademiola. They're trying to get Davis running again. And he's driven back.
The problem right now with the no running game is that Notre Dame knows they can make Pitt one-dimensional. Last week, Pitt was 3 of 17 on 3rd down, and the average yards needed was 10 yards. This is the second 3rd and 10 that they've had. That's difficult against a good defense like Notre Dame.
Running game has fallen off. Of course, the schedule's gotten tougher for Pitt, too. Yellen on 3rd down and 10, sacked back at the 21-yard line. Byron Tagovailoa Amosa with the sack for Notre Dame, his first of the year.
Again, you don't have to fear the run. It's a 4-man rush. They collapse the pocket, and they get Yellen on the ground. Good coverage downfield, but 3rd and 10, very difficult for a young quarterback.
There's Kirk Christodoulou to punt, the Australian. He's had a terrific year, according to Coach Narduzzi. Punts it on the run, line drive kick. Caught by Matt Salerno, made the first man miss. And he's out of bounds at the 37. They do have Lawrence Keys here today. He's their primary punt returner, but he's just coming back from a concussion. And Brian Kelly said, I'm not sure his first game back. We want him returning punts when he's recovering from a head injury. So it's Salerno back there again. We mentioned the first road game for Notre Dame. And with an eye toward COVID protocols, there wasn't enough space in their hotel to spread out, socially distance, and have their pregame meal. So they had it here at the stadium about 2.5 hours before kickoff. They brought their own plexiglass barriers with them.
Their own plexiglass. 2020. What a season.
The lead 7-3. Here's a quick pop out wide for Avery Davis, former running back, one time a quarterback. And he gets 8 on first down for the Irish as we go under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Now, and Ian Book right now, 77 yards passing in the first quarter. He had 106 for the entire game a week ago at home against Louisville. Now, there was some talk about being a windy day, but they just didn't even try to throw. Only 5 pass attempts the entire second half.
They were running the ball very effectively. Ian Book said it was the windiest game he's played in a long time, and we'll clean up what Brian Kelly said. He said that's a lot of baloney. Avery Davis could not catch a low throw. It was windy. He wasn't saying that it wasn't windy, but he just wasn't buying that as an excuse for the lack of a passing game. And wind gusts up around 30 miles per hour in South Bend last week. Home wins over Duke, South Florida, Florida State, and Louisville on the way to 4-0 for the Fighting Irish. They've won 10 straight, dating back to last year. Seaboe Flemister, the running back on 3rd and 2. He's a short yardage specialist. Cam Bright made the tackle, but not before Flemister moved the chains. First down Irish. Started with those wins against Duke and South Florida, and then had a major COVID outbreak, which led to the postponement of their game against Wake Forest. Basically, they did nothing for 2 weeks. And the coaches said it was almost like starting the season all over again when they played Florida State. Book is blitzed. He gets it off to the freshman tight end, Michael Mayer, who has a first down to the Pitt 42, tackled by the middle linebacker, Chase Pine.
Well, it was Dennis, the linebacker, on the blitz again. Book sees it, gets rid of the ball quickly. Nothing wrong with the hit, just good quick recognition by Ian Book. And he's played a lot of ball, he's seen a lot of defense. And Tommy Rees said last week he thought his eyes and his recognition was the worst that he's seen. He looks pretty sharp today so far in what he's seeing out there.
6 of 9 for 88 and the touchdown to Skoranek. Flemister inside the Pitt 40 on what might be the last play of this opening quarter. Cam Bright made the stop for Pitt.
This is a good-looking offensive line that Notre Dame has. They are rugged.
The end of the first quarter, 7-3 Irish. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC returns after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. The best part of every kickoff is the drive that comes next. Go further with Goodyear, more driven. Such a pretty city too. I always love when we do a game here. We have the blimp, the rivers, the bridges, come through the Fort Pitt tunnel, and all of a sudden there's the skyline staring you right in the face. They love their football here. Notre Dame leading 7-3 after a quarter, and Ian Book's throw much too high for Javon McKinley, one of the wide receivers Brian Kelly said could be more productive.
Yeah. Well, again, but what I'm seeing a little bit of is the same thing I've seen on film, and that is the inability of some of these Notre Dame receivers to create separation. I mean, they've got some guys that can catch the football. And sometimes when that happens, if you're Ian Book, you've got to find the guys that you trust to throw into tight spaces and see if they'll make a play for you, because you don't have guys that are creating a lot of separation right now.
Four-man rush, but Book was under duress. Now he throws and just throws it away. Found an empty spot near the 10-yard line. They've been after him, but he's done a good job staying on his feet, extending the play, sometimes to gain yards running.
Again, here you got a tight end across the middle, safety coming over the top. Just not a lot of open areas right now. Lindsey short. There's Tremble, the other tight end, and Ian Book has had to try to keep plays alive being aware in the pocket. He's done a great job that time. Made the smart decision to just throw it away.
It's never good when your three best receivers are running back and two tight ends.
Right.
Jay Bramlett's punt bounces into the end zone. Time for today's Aflac trivia question. We want to know who holds the record for most rushing yards against Notre Dame in a single game. I'm guessing it might be a Pitt Panther. Usually it is pertinent to the matchup that we have, and there's a lot of history in this rivalry. This is the 72nd meeting all time.
I would guess it's that dude right there.
Tony Dorsett.
If I had to guess, that would be my guess.
That's a good guess. It is a guess, because unlike most weeks, you don't seem to be cheating today. So many legendary players from both of these programs. Joey Yellen over the middle, incomplete. Trying to get it to Daniel Carter out of the backfield. Shane Simon had the coverage. Well, here's the answer. Most rushing yards in a game ever against Notre Dame. That's 132 years of Notre Dame football history. It is Tony Dorsett, 1975. A mere 303. Wow. What, did he not play the second half? DJ Turner powers his way out to the 25. It'll be 3rd down and 5 for Pitt.
Trying to find Jordan Addison again. He was a little active early. Has not had a ball here recently. Number 3, their primary receiver. He's going to go to the trip side right now. There he is right here, number 3.
Highly recruited by Notre Dame. They wanted him to be a cornerback, which is one of the reasons why he decided not to go to ND. Good movement up front to bring some pressure on Yellen. His pass batted down, but there's a flag. It was Addison, the intended receiver, and it was the outstanding safety, Kyle Hamilton.
Defense, number 14. The ball be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic, 1st down.
That coverage, it was a bit too frisky.
Well, Hamilton actually does a nice job running across the field, but you see that right hand on the back of the jersey? I mean, he had his hand on him the whole time across, and that's what drew the flag. White glove on a gray jersey, pretty easy to see in the middle of the field.
Talking about the tradition, I like Pittsburgh's usual colors. These gray uniforms are terrible. Wear your colors. They're your school colors, not just the Pitt Panthers. Teams around the country.
Well, I love the gold helmet with the script.
This doesn't look anything like Pitt. And there's a deep ball thrown by Yellen. Too long for Jared Wayne. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Sean, I want to remind our audience the main event for UFC 254. Habib Nurmagomedov and Justin Gaethje just minutes away. Lightweight unification bout. You can order it on pay-per-view on ESPN Plus. And guys, I agree with you. Blue, gold, the script, the helmet's nothing better. Those lids for Pitt.
Yeah, if you had just turned this game on, you have no idea who that team in the gray is. It's a little early in the game for our grumpy old man routine. But there it is. Yellen, one-on-one coverage, and it is caught by Jordan Addison with Nick McLeod in coverage, the grad transfer from NC State.
Well, it pretty much looks like Joey Yellen's going to have to throw just about every down. Notre Dame knows that too. They brought pressure. Yellen stayed in there and delivered a strike over the outside shoulder to Addison. And that's just a case of a receiver knowing where the football was and the defender McLeod not knowing.
And a nice job by Yellen too, recognizing man-to-man coverage, because Addison's been doubled most of the game.
33-yard gain. And here's Addison again.
Sean, before this drive, center Jimmy Morrissey was upset about their O-line's blocking. He went up to his quarterback, Joey Yellen, apologized, and Yellen said, "It's okay. That's on me. I'm the one who needs to be better." So Yellen, not the most vocal leader, but after every failed drive, he's taken responsibility and ownership, Sean.
Well, Pitt's rushed for -6 yards on 4 attempts. Mark Whipple, the offensive coordinator, told us yesterday, I'd be happy if we ran for 100 yards. I don't think they're going to get anywhere near that. I agree with you. They're going to have to throw it on just about every down if they have a chance today. Riding Joey Yellen, whose pass is too high. Intended again for Addison.
See, that's the other thing that they miss about Kenny Pickett. And Yellen is, you know, he did a great job last week, but Kenny Pickett gives them the ability of quarterback run and extending plays and scrambling. When you're a team that struggles to run, not having a quarterback that's a running threat like Yellen, that makes it even tougher.
Pickett sideline with that ankle injury, sitting with the coaches. Yellen, almost after every play taught, is running to the sideline to get the next play from Mark Whipple. I mean, they're going to wear him out. Running back and forth just to get the play. It seems rather primitive communication. He's in trouble under pressure from a blitz, and he threw it away. Sean Crawford, the 6th-year player's battled a lot of injuries, played corner and safety. He's been the nickel as well. He came on the blitz.
Yeah, Crawford's going to come from right over in here, and he's going to be unblocked. You got 5 blockers. You got the back leaking out, and nobody picks up Crawford, and Yellen just has to get rid of the
Intentional
football.
grounding. Offense. The ball did not cross the line of scrimmage. There was no eligible receiver in the area. Lost it down. Spot of the foul. 4th down.
I don't agree that there was not an eligible receiver in the area. I think there was, but if the ball didn't cross the line of scrimmage, that's the problem. If you get out of the tackle box, you can throw with nobody there. There was a receiver somewhat in the area, but the ball didn't cross the line.
That took a long time to be announced as well.
Correction. There is no foul for intentional grounding. There was a receiver in the area. 4th down.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, you were correct as usual. But we really enjoyed our conversation with Joey Yellen.
Oh, it was a great conversation. He was delightful to talk to.
He was interesting and funny. We'll tell you more about his story as we go along. Very poised. Certainly wasn't too big for him last week in Miami when he made his first start as a Panther and his second collegiate start. Kirk Christodoulou hangs it high in the air. And a fair catch made again by Matt Salerno. 25-yard punt. The Irish begin from the 13-yard line after this.
4 teams, 2 semifinals, New Year's Day. The college football playoff lives on ESPN.
This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's general scholarship fund. Thank you, Allstate. On first down, Ian Book again, weaving through some traffic, takes off running. And his running ability and elusiveness, the big story of this first half. He scrambles to the 31-yard line for 18 yards and a first down.
Did a nice job stepping up under the outside rush of Weaver and then busting back outside. And right now he's got good vision, and he's not always able to throw on time, but he's extending plays and moving in the pocket.
He's a leading rusher in the game for either team with 37 yards. Faked it to Kyron Williams. In traffic, throws, and it bounces off the defender, Damar Hamlin.
I think he was hit as he threw this. It might have been Rashad Weaver, but that ball kind of fluttered and was behind, and it surprised Hamlin. I mean, Hamlin thought he was beat on the play. Right there, Weaver got a hold of him right as he threw the football, and that's what caused it to be behind the receiver.
Weaver been a force in that backfield. He went around Robert Hainsey, another one of the Pittsburgh natives playing for Notre Dame, the right tackle.
Well, the guy on the other side, Patrick Jones, has been pretty quiet so far, but both those guys capable of really cranking it up.
Both are 5th-year seniors. Ian Book on 2nd and 10. He is smothered and taken down by the linebacker, Phil Campbell.
You see Campbell right here. He's going to come on the outside. We talked about the defensive ends. The back is supposed to pick him up. Kyron Williams doesn't do a good enough job. Doesn't go meet him at the point. He runs right through Kyron Williams to the quarterback.
Another 5th-year senior on this veteran defense. Came in averaging just under 5 sacks per game, 2nd in the nation. behind Florida Atlantic with 6 sacks per game. 3rd and 14. Book steps into the throw. Up for grabs and caught. Ben Skoranek on his way with his 2nd touchdown of the day.
Well, credit Ian Book for standing in there and making a throw under duress. Marquez Williams just gets beat on the play by a bigger receiver. Marquez Williams, 5'9", 175 pounds. Skoranek, 6'3", 220. He just goes up and wins the fight for the football. And we have not seen this much. That ability to throw the football down the field, stretch the field for this Notre Dame pass offense. Skoranek gets it for him on that one.
He had 2 catches on the season. As we mentioned, he missed a lot of time with a hamstring injury. He has 2 touchdowns, his first 2 for Notre Dame here today. He caught 8 touchdown passes in 43 career games at Northwestern. The extra point good. The Irish leading 14-3 in the 2nd quarter in Pittsburgh.
College football presented by PlayStation 5 on ABC is brought to you by Pacific Life. More than 150 years strong. Trust in your tomorrow.
A flashback to November 28th, 1981. Look at that handsome young guy, Todd Blackledge. After his Penn State Nittany Lions fell behind 14-0 against Dan Marino in #1 Pitt. You led them to 48 unanswered points, bringing the 17-game winning streak for Pitt.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. We had -1 yard of total offense at the end of the 1st quarter, and they were on their way to score again, and it was looking pretty bleak. We had a few interceptions and turned the game around the 2nd half.
A.J. Turner, another nice kickoff return. Oh, nice performance by you. You were just a sophomore then.
Yeah.
And that's a great rivalry as well. This is a great rivalry as well. And Brian Kelly said they're excited about playing in the conference for this 1 year because of COVID, not playing an independent schedule. They're going to be an ACC member in football for this year only.
Yeah, and I think it's, it's good for everybody. It's good for college football. It's good for the ACC, and for Notre Dame, they're pretty clear what their aspirations are. It's the college football playoff, and as we mentioned at the top of the show, that means going through Clemson at some point.
A.J. Davis and the Wildcat, and a gain of nothing there. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Sean, time now for our protection spotlight, brought to you by Allstate. We're taking a look at a great touchdown play in Stillwater. Spencer Sanders back on the field. Jelani Woods here to tie it up against Iowa State. And then Mark Sanchez's guy, Chuba Hubbard, would score a touchdown. Right now, 14-7. Cowboys, back to you.
Mark Sanchez from Mission Viejo High School. Same school that produced the Pitt quarterback, Joey Yellen. Swings it out wide and incomplete for A.J. Davis. First, Yellen had an interesting path through high school. He was commuting about an hour each way from his home in Southern California up near Los Angeles to St. John Bosco, a perennial power in Southern California. He wasn't going to be the starter. Decided to transfer home to his public high school, where Rob Johnson and Bob Johnson, quarterback gurus, were the coaches. The senior there, they stepped away. Chad Johnson, who'd been his offensive coordinator at Bosco, became the head coach at Mission Viejo, which was very comfortable for Joey. It's not Ocho Cinco, a different Chad Johnson. Great quarterbacks that come out of Southern California, including Mr. Sanchez. A.J. Davis comes up about 2 yards short of the first down. Sean Crawford and Kyle Hamilton made the tackle, and Yellen and Mark Whipple getting frustrated. It looked like Whipple didn't like what Yellen had to say. Seemed to be an animated response from the veteran offensive coordinator. It still seems a little hot.
Well, their inability to run for an inch is really starting to cause problems because Notre Dame is well aware of that, and they're just squeezing everything right now.
And not even trying to throw the ball down the field either. Everything in the passing game of Pitt seems to be short. Chris Dedulu's punt goes out of bounds, far sideline near the 18-yard line.
We talk about Pitt playing a lot of man-to-man, but this is actually a zone defense. This safety here is going to drop back. These guys have deep third, and you have two guys under. But if you have deep third, you have to guard the deepest receiver. And in this case, Marquez Williams gets beat by the bigger receiver, and then the safety, Eric Hallett, takes a bad angle to the football. So you think you've got the right defense call on that 3rd and long. But Skoranek just made a heck of a play, and Notre Dame got their 2nd touchdown through the air.
2 catches, both for touchdowns, 34 yards and 73 yards. A quick toss to Kyron Williams. He moved to sidestep a would-be tackler, then get out to the 22-yard line. John Morgan made the tackle, back up defensive end.
Right now, it feels like Pitt, from this defense that has played so well this year, needs a turnover. I mean, they need to get a short field for their offense. Coming into the ball game, they've taken the ball away 11 times. 8 interceptions in 6 games. They only had 9 interceptions in 13 games last year, but you just get a feeling like this defense needs to make something happen for their offense.
Williams slides within a yard of the first down. Looking at Skoranek's right hand, perhaps a problem with his middle finger. 2 touchdown catches, ties his career high. That would have been set at Northwestern for his first 2 touchdown catches as a member of the Fighting Irish. Caught 110 passes for Pat Fitzgerald. Over 43 games at Northwestern, 8 of them for touchdowns.
Timeout. Notre Dame, their 2nd timeout of the half. Timeout.
7:35 to go in the half. 3rd down and 1 for Notre Dame when we come back.
Where college football is watched, Nacho's party packs bring the fun. Wherever the students are, the live. Where college football is watched, Nacho's party packs bring the fun. Wherever the students are, the Live My Student section lives. Learn more at livemystudentsection.com.
3rd down and 1, Notre Dame leading 14-3 midway through the 2nd quarter. Kyron Williams wrestled down. Where will they spot it? It was DeMar Hamlin, outstanding safety. Harris Ford's the preseason All-American, but Randy Bates, the defensive coordinator, said to us yesterday, Hamlin's just as good.
They're both outstanding. And, you know, that's, as Todd McShay mentioned earlier in the ball game, that's such a critical part of this defense. They recruit to that position, and guys have to be able to be physical in the run game like Hamlin was there. But because of the coverage scheme, they got to play a lot of man-to-man coverage as well. So it's a unique skill set to play safety in this defense, and they've got 2 fine ones.
Kyron Williams nowhere to run. Stacked up for another tackle for a loss. It's Savassier Dennis again.
You know, he had to play a lot early in the year because of Cam Bright being a little banged up and injured, and he just gets better and better. The more he plays, the more he sees things, he corrects mistakes, and he's a very active young linebacker.
They're the #1 rushing defense in the country, giving up 61 yards per game. Some of that might be skewed. They played Austin Peay in the opener, who had 1 yard rushing. Brooks throw too high over the head of Michael Mayer. Then they played Syracuse, which rushed for 51 yards. They've struggled on offense. Pitt won its first 3 games. Austin Peay, Syracuse, and Louisville, all of them here. They were ranked number 21 in the country, but then lost back-to-back 1-point games for the first time in school history. Lost to NC State on a last-second touchdown pass. Lost in overtime to Boston College at BC on a missed extra point, and then lost last week at Miami.
Big play here for the Pitt defense.
3rd and 12, and it's deflected and almost intercepted through the hands of Braden Lindsay. And they force that punt, stopping the Irish on 3rd down and 12.
That ball was pretty hot coming out of the hands of Ian Book. Lindsay not able to grab it. When the ball popped up in the air, a lot of times bad things happen for your offense when that happens.
It wouldn't have been a first down regardless, but that's one of Book's issues in terms of passing. It's just a lack of touch and being able to take some miles per hour off the fastball.
Short punt by Jay Bramlett, and there is a flag down back near the line of scrimmage. Fair catch was made by DJ Turner at the 35-yard line of Pittsburgh. Hugh Campbell, the line judge, threw the flag.
Illegal formation. Offense. 5 players lined up in the backfield. The 5-yard penalty will be added on to the end of the run. First down.
39-yard punt. Comes 34 with the 5-yard penalty. Monday Night Football, one of the great players in Pittsburgh history, Aaron Donald, leads the Rams against the Bears. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern time from Los Angeles on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and the ESPN app. Aaron Donald very generous with his alma mater as well. Donated $1 million, his name on their performance center. He comes back to that performance center to work out. Those look like knives to me.
I think they were. 29.5 career sacks for an interior defensive lineman. Pretty amazing.
I've missed on a lot of prospects over the years. Aaron Donald was one of the easiest evaluations I've ever done. And not only was the play on the field ridiculous, when you talk to the coaches, they all said he's the best practice player we've ever been around. And you see it.
You mentioned his sack total. You know what the all-time lead is in sacks at Pittsburgh? Talk about great players in the career. 49 by Hugh Green. Joey Yellen on target for a first down. A gain of 11 to Taysir Mack to the 49-yard line of the Irish. 49 sacks by Hugh Green, 1977 through 80.
Well, my first year playing at Penn State, lining up against him and Ricky Jackson in the Pitt-Penn State game was a scary, scary thing as a quarterback.
How about that? In 1980, they had 74 sacks as a team in 12 games. Intercepted. Short throw over the middle, picked off by the linebacker, Bo Bauer, who runs it back to the Pitt 45-yard line.
Bauer does a great job of just reading Joey Yellen's eyes. Watch Bauer right here. He's going to drop into coverage and watch his eyes. The whole time he is on the quarterback. Not sure where the receiver is, but he's watching the quarterback gaining depth and then just steps right into the throwing lane. Joey Yellen, his eyes are locked on his receiver, and he doesn't pick up the coverage of the linebacker Bauer. And a big interception to get the ball back for Notre Dame. This is where you'd like to see Notre Dame and Ian Book be able to go maybe play action and a shot downfield, take advantage of the momentum. Whether or not they've got that in their repertoire, Skowronek's still not back on the field for the offense.
It's the second interception of the season for Notre Dame and just the 4th takeaway by this defense in this their 5th game. Plus field position, Book handed it off to Kyron Williams. And he got a half yard. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Sean, let's go back to Bloomington and keep an eye on Indiana. I said that from the start. Stevie Scott, touchdown right here, 14 yards, and Scott would go in again right now. It's 16-7 Hoosiers.
Well, I was paying attention that time.
I see that. And you're not as happy as you were when you weren't paying attention.
I'll tell you what, I like that coach in Indiana now. He's an excitable, energetic guy.
Open is Williams. He has the first down. And he's down at the 26-yard line. So one of their tasks today was try to get Kyron Williams matched up against linebackers in that man-to-man Pitt defense.
That was a little bit of a trick play. It looked like they were running jet sweep, and it looked like Kyron Williams was going to be the lead blocker. And at the last minute, he slipped out into the pass route. Very well conceived, a well-designed play for the first down.
Ironic, who has their 2 touchdowns, back on the field. Irish on the move again, leading 14-3. Book able to sidestep Deslin Alexander, and he turns it into a gain out of bounds near the 20-yard line.
So frustrating for a defense like Pitt that loves to get after the passer, has a lot of sacks, has a lot of tackles for loss. They like to create panic and havoc, but right now, Ian Book does not look panicked. I mean, he's done a good job of running when he needs to run, extending plays. That can be very frustrating for a defense like Pitt.
Head coach Pat Narduzzi made his name as a defensive coordinator for 8 years at Michigan State under Mark D'Antonio. They annually had one of the best defenses in the country. Williams wrestled down by Patrick Jones. Coach Narduzzi told us he spoke with Mark D'Antonio during the week. Of course, Mark retired after last season, and he said the coach was expecting to go to the Rutgers-Michigan State game today. Narduzzi hopes when COVID goes away, D'Antonio will come visit and help him. His team here giving some advice. Book keeps it on 3rd and 1 and has it to the 15-yard line with 3 minutes to go in the first half.
Pitt trying to sell out on this 3rd and 1, anticipating quarterback sneak. They almost get it, Paris Ford, but Ian Book able to go underneath. This part of the field now, you've got these 2 tight ends, Tremble and Mayer, and now with Skowronek healthy at 6'3", you've got 3 big-bodied receivers in this formation as Notre Dame enters the red zone, and the red zone has not been kind to Notre Dame this season so far.
There is Tremble, wrestled down, really no gain there. Marquez Williams made the tackle. And talking about the frustration in the red zone, Brian Kelly, I thought, was an interesting analogy after the woes last week against Louisville. He said, we're going to our hockey analogy. It's like the power play. You know, power play in hockey, you get your 5 best sharpshooters out there. We're putting our 5 best skill players out there. It's not about scheme. So let's get all the playmakers out there and make plays. I'm a little too concerned with the play call rather than who they have on the field.
Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's, right?
Book to the side of the end zone, incomplete into some coverage. Jason Pinnock batted it away from Joe Wilkins. Another big target at 6'2", 190.
Pinnock did a really nice job because he was up actually in underneath coverage on Mayer, the tight end, but he was reading the quarterback's eyes, so he drifted back and able to get a hand on it. Athletic play by the corner Pinnock.
It's in for Damari Mathis, who would have been their #1 corner. He was injured in the preseason non-football injury, out for the year. Big 3rd down and 9. Book. And there are flags down. Looked like some pass interference as McKinley was being badgered by A.J. Woods. That will be the call.
Pass interference. Defense, number 25. The foul occurred in the end zone. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. First down.
A lot of contact. Now McKinley's another big body. He's 6'2", 215. So you couple him with Skowronek and those 2 tight ends. Those are all big targets in this part of the field. Very aggressive throw by Ian Book, and your guy either makes a play or you draw penalties like that. That was a good heads-up decision to go after the play right there. Tremble as the fullback right behind the quarterback.
Follow him.
Williams does, and he'll go into the end zone for a touchdown.
Great block by Tremble and Tommy Kramer. We talk about this line. Watch Kramer pull out and get a block here. Tremble is the lead block. This is a veteran, savvy offensive line, powerful tight end blockers. And the identity of this Notre Dame team is a physical running game. But their passing game is coming along for the ride today a little bit more.
They've thrown for 182. That's more than they average per game entering today. Jonathan Gore adds the extra point. Pass interference huge on 3rd down. Notre Dame would have had to attempt a field goal had that not happened. It started with the interception by Bauer. Moments away from the State Farm halftime report with Kevin Booger and Mark. Irish first road game of the season. Leading 21-3. Had a better than 2-1 advantage in time of possession as well. Fair catch made by DJ Turner. Here's Molly McGrath.
Sean, offensive coordinator Mark Whipple gave Joey Yellen an earful after that interception. He was really frustrated with his composure. And before that drive, Whipple was yelling at him again, told Yellen to get out of his head and suck it up. So tough love on Pitt's sideline, but Pat Narduzzi told me he is sticking with Yellen unless the wheels fall off.
Davis Bevel would be next. We saw a couple of series last week at Miami. Mark Whipple could probably be more help here as well to Yellen in this Pittsburgh offense. They're struggling to run the ball. They do there on the delay. Vincent Davis got 11 and a first down.
I wonder if maybe a screen or something a little bit different. And I still think, you know, Jordan Addison is the guy that's got to be the key guy for them. They've got to find more ways to get him involved and get him the football.
Look out. The run game is just a disaster for Pittsburgh. Vincent Davis dropped for about a 5-yard loss. Sean Crawford up from the secondary. For the year, Pitt averages 2.9 yards per carry. Only 3 teams worse in FBS football. They tried to lean heavily on the pass as usual.
I'm a little surprised by that, actually, because this is an offensive line. They're a veteran group, too. Maybe not as much as Notre Dame, but they've been together. They've played together. They've had success running in the past the last few years, but this year has been an absolute struggle.
This offensive line, 112 combined career starts, and that play call seems like a give-up. Some of the fans booing.
With 3 timeouts, down 21-3, why wouldn't you put your foot on the gas?
You have to attack here. You have to take advantage of this possession. They're not going to.
What do you have to lose?
Well, right now,
this I don't understand this at all. I mean, running to the sideline after almost every play to get the play. I mean, in this day and age of signals and cards and every other thing, there has to be a better way. Sixth year for Pat Narduzzi as head coach at Pitt. They run a screen to Vincent Davis. He gets dumped by Drew White. Now you wonder if Notre Dame is. Notre Dame's going to use a timeout.
Their third and final timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
What kind of message are you sending to your team, too?
well, I think Pat Narduzzi right there was the message he was sending is, look, we are struggling. If we go fast, use timeouts, and don't convert, we're going to give Notre Dame too much time here at the end of the half. And we don't think we can stop them right now. So is it a defeatist attitude? Is it a negative attitude? Maybe so. But I don't think they had any confidence that they could use the timeouts and mount a drive here at the end of the half because they haven't been able to do anything.
But don't you have to try? I mean, you're talking about a Notre Dame team that, you know, as Brian Kelly joked yesterday, they've turned into one of the academies with time of possession football. Now, Notre Dame had the ball for 36 minutes last week against Louisville. You haven't done a good job of stopping them. You have limited opportunities with the ball.
But you're coming off of the last possession before that where your young quarterback made a horrible decision and threw a bad interception that led to another score.
And the punt is blocked. Chris DeDuro's punt is blocked. And it's recovered by Notre Dame for a touchdown. Isaiah Foskey blocked it. Well, that's blocked one at Stanford last year as well. And it's an Irish touchdown.
That's why Brian Kelly called timeout. Foskey's right here, number 7. He's going to come inside. Watch number 4 go to block another man and leaves Foskey open. Foskey goes right inside the block, clear path to the punter. Brian Kelly called timeout, got the punt block called. Napoleon, the special teams coordinator, and another touchdown at the end of the half.
The special teams have been excellent. Brian Kelly talked about that yesterday. And Brian Napoleon's one of the best special teams coaches in the country. Mr. Doolittle took a long time in that Australian rugby style to get it off. And Foskey, the sophomore from Antioch, California, of another powerhouse, De La Salle, his second career block punt. Only played in 4 games last year and then redshirted, but in one of those games he blocked a punt against Stanford.
It had 2 personal protectors. Notre Dame rushed 3 guys. 2 of them were blocked. Foskey was not, and he had the clearest shot to the punter.
Brian Napoleon, son of the legendary NFL executive Hall of Famer Bill Polian. Brian was the head coach at Nevada for 4 years. I think he'll get another shot at being a head coach. Terrific recruiter, great with people.
A lot of fist bumps there. I mean, Brian Kelly said, let's call timeout. Give me your best punt block here. Not enough time for us to score on offense, probably. And they go get it, and they get the touchdown.
Problems in the punting game for Pitt. Last week, they tried a fake punt. Down by only 7-0 in the second quarter in Miami. It didn't work. Gave Miami a short field, 45 yards, and the Canes took advantage of it to score. DJ Turner, another fair catch. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, celebrating the endless pursuit of forward momentum. Goodyear, more driven.
Well, there's not a whole lot of people here because of the crowd restrictions, but if Joey Yellen takes a knee here, there's going to be some boos going to the locker room.
5,500 is the allowed attendance. This is the first home game of 4 that they've been allowed to have fans. Jay Davis driven back again, fitting ending to the first half.
But before that play, they had 2 yards rushing in the first half. That might be back to even now, 0.
Yep, 2 officially for the half. Pitt will get the second half kickoff. They can hardly wait. Back to the studio for the State Farm halftime report after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, heading for the second half. Here's a look at our Pacific Life game summary. Todd Blackledge, Brian Kelly said we need to get the passing game going, and they did in that first half. 182 yards from Ian Book. 2 long touchdown throws to Ben Skoranek.
Yeah, they accomplished everything. They got the passing game moving, and they got the field stretched. They got the ball thrown downfield, and Skoranek has been a real nice addition in the first half of this ball game.
Brian Kelly told Molly McGrath on the way off the field, very pleased. Complimentary football, all 3 phases, faring well. Jonathan Doerr's kickoff down to DJ Turner, and he's stopped at the 16-yard line. So Pitt will have the ball first to begin this second half, Todd, and they need to find some answers. That was a pretty miserable offensive performance in the first half.
Yeah, it really was. And, you know, I know you're asking a lot of a redshirt freshman quarterback, Joey Yellens, but it's on him. I mean, because the running game is not there. They don't have a quarterback run aspect to their offense, so it's got to be the throw game. He's got to make good decisions, and he's got to get the ball downfield. They got to find a way to get Jordan Addison more involved in the football game.
Yellen 9 for 21 for 95 yards, an interception in the first half. And they come out throwing, and Shockey Jacques-Louis, a big drop to open the half. Here's Molly McGrath.
Well, it's like Todd could hear my conversation with Pat Narduzzi at halftime. He said he's going to stick with Joey Yellen in the second half. He wants him to fight through this. And his message to him was, you have 30 more minutes. First half didn't go so well. Second half, you need to get some plays in the air. We need our playmakers to make some plays and help you out.
That drop certainly didn't help. There's a nice call, well executed. Vincent Davis runs for a first down, tackled by Nick McLeod. 19 yards on the run. Their longest run all season, Todd, is 21 yards.
Yeah, it's been a struggle. I mean, draws are something you can maybe slip in there. That was a nice job by the center, Jimmy Morrissey, leading the way on that draw play.
2 yards rushing in the first half. 19 there. Dangerous throw by Yellen in the general direction of Daniel Moraga, the tight end, with Shane Simon, a linebacker, in coverage.
I don't think that Yellen can be afraid to work the middle of the field. I know he threw that interception to Bo Bauer in the first half. It was a bad mistake, but it's hard making a living just throwing the ball on the sidelines. He's got to find a way to work the ball down the middle of the field.
Kinds of movement. Wayne Height, the referee, leading this ACC crew.
Offside. Defense. Getting into the neutral zone, causing the offense to react. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Fifth Notre Dame penalty. I mentioned they average fewer than 4 per game. They've actually been the more penalized team here today. Pittsburgh flagged twice. Second and 5. And now more whistles.
Please reset the game clock to 14 minutes and 22 seconds.
I still can't believe that Yellen is coming over the sideline every single play. I understand you don't want your signals to be stolen by Notre Dame, and I know they have a lot of assistants and have the money to invest in it, but it's a lot of effort.
Todd, this came up at the Pitt-Penn State game last year. I did it with Chris Fowler, and they did the same thing with Kenny Pickett. And we had the same conversation. And I for some reason, I think that our sideline reporter, Holly Rowe, asked Pat Narduzzi, and the answer was that it was all about not getting signal stolen. Right. That's why they didn't want to do that.
Find a better way to signal them.
Yeah. Or run, like we said, run receivers in. You know, bring the play in with the
They used to do in the old days. Send somebody in. Here's a blitz after Yellen on 3rd and 4. He had a wide open receiver and threw it over the head of Jared Wayne.
Now, Joey Yellen knows that there's pressure. He's got to hang as long as he can. Pressure coming right up the middle. Just couldn't wait any longer, and the ball just sailed on him, a little overthrow. Definitely open as he ran by Sean Crawford. Yellen just not able to make the throw.
Kirk Christodoulou's last punt was blocked. Late in the first half, another flag
Offense,
down.
number 25, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Blocked by Isaiah Foskey, who recovered it for a touchdown. A.J. Woods called for the false start there for Pat Narduzzi. It's Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah on the last play, who came on the blitz. He is an impressive player when you watch Notre Dame on tape.
He jumps out. He definitely jumps out.
He's one of the best defensive players in the country. I've got him as a top 20 prospect coming up in this draft.
Wow. Senior out of Hampton, Virginia. Used him in a variety of roles. No fair catch from Salerno. And he swung down right away by A.J. Woods. 38-yard punt by Christodoulou. Here's a look at today's Crunch Time, brought to you by Cheez-It.
Well, in Crunch Time, it's been Ian Book, and he's done a little bit of everything today. His recognition has been outstanding, finding when the blitz is coming, knowing when to get rid of the ball, moving in the pocket, extending plays, making the right decisions, when to run, when to just scramble to throw. Really has done a nice job moving this offense, and just that new life for the passing game brought on by Ian Book has made this team look completely different than they looked a week ago against Louisville.
Thrown for a high percentage, but they've hit some big plays in the passing game. Kyron Williams out of the backfield, 8-yard completion, taken out of bounds by Phil Campbell.
Taken out of bounds by...
Watching that game last week against Louisville, they only had 7 offensive possessions. They only attempted 2 throws down the field, both incomplete. And it just was a very pedestrian 12-7 win. They just look different. They still got a ways to go in their passing game, but they look much better.
Williams for the first down.
Sean, Brian Kelly told us, if they want to be considered the #3 team in the country, they have to pass the ball better. And he was really happy with their offensive balance in the first half, saying that is how you become a contender. We ran the ball well, our playmakers made plays, but that was just 2 quarters. We need to sustain that kind of balance into the second half. And you can tell Brian Kelly is preparing his team for that November 7th matchup against Clemson.
Some confusion there on their sideline with offensive linemen running off and on. And he is certainly well aware that Clemson is ahead on that schedule. Throw too high for Skaronic. I admire, so many coaches talk about we're taking it one play at a time, we're taking it one game at a time. It's good. We need to beat Pitt and Georgia Tech, but we really need to play better than we have against those 2 teams so that we're ready to go against Clemson, because the goal is beat Clemson, win the ACC, get into the playoff, and play for a national championship.
And they're used to playing an independent schedule, right? And playing all these cross-country games and just trying to figure out how they can get into the playoffs or be that kind of a contender.
Ian Book, the play fake to Kyron Williams. Looked like McKinley stepped out just shy of the first down as he was twisting around. He's a couple of feet short of the line to make. They're the top 3 teams in the country entering this weekend. Clemson and Alabama among the best in passing yards per game, and Notre Dame 65th, and that's out of 77.
Yeah, that's right.
Because everybody had not started playing. Now with the Big Ten playing this week, some of the other conferences swinging into action. On 3rd and short, Kyron Williams, redshirt freshman out of St. Louis.
I'll tell you what, they've converted some 3rd and shorts. They're now, I think, 7 for 10 on 3rd downs, but they have not gotten much more than the 1 or 2 yards they need. I mean, those have been hard 3rd and short yardage plays to come by. But credit that offensive line and the tough running of Kyron Williams against this Pittsburgh defensive front 7. 3rd and 1 or 2 is a whole lot better than 3rd and 10. That's why you're 7 for 10 in the ballgame.
Pressure brought by Pittsburgh. Book forced back. Once again elusive. And he managed to get rid of it and avoid a big sack through in the direction of Kyron Williams. Well, it feels like they've pressured him a lot today, and just 1 sack for Pitt all day.
Bringing extra people on that one. Again, it was Dennis, the linebacker, beating the block of the running back, forcing Ian Book out of the pocket. This is a team that thrives on creating havoc and pressure on the quarterback.
2nd and 10. Pressure again, forcing Book to run to his right. Throws on the run. And an incomplete pass. Patrick Jones that time brought the heat on Ian Book, 5th-year senior from Chesapeake, Virginia. Really didn't start playing high school until his sophomore year in high school. He spent a lot of his youth overseas. Son of a Navy man. He lived in Japan. He was actually born in Japan, lived in Italy.
He plays with a great motor. I mean, he doesn't take any plays off. Gets in that low 4-point stance, kind of like a sprinter. Tries to stay as low to the ground as he can.
3rd down and 10. Pittsburgh needs a stop. They don't get it. On target is Book to Michael Mayer. And a 1st down into Pitt territory to the 39.
I love this guy. I mean, Kyron Williams is the star on offense, and I get it, but the most talented player on offense for Notre Dame is number 87. Mayer, you just see his ability to separate, and the ability then after the catch, too. He consistently on third downs shows up.
It was an excellent move. I mean, he put on a veteran guy. Phil Campbell was the linebacker in coverage, a little head fake to the outside, and Campbell was fooled completely.
Shade out of 11 on third down now. There's a toss to Jafar Armstrong, and he's dumped by Deslin Alexander, junior out of Pompano Beach, Florida. He was a starter last year. Now he's a actively involved backup.
Again, this defense thrives on tackles for loss. They came into the game with 67, one of the best in the country. They force you into getting behind the chains on second down, and that typically plays into being a really good third down defensive team. Coming into the game, they were holding opponents under 30% on third down, but Notre Dame 8 of 11 today because of so many short yardage situations on third.
Another 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. A couple of fakes by Book. Gets himself free. Now a throwback to a wide open Javon McKinley. He weaves inside the 30 and takes off. Inside the 10 and down near the 5-yard line. Chopped down by Paris Ford.
You wonder if this was a design throwback or not. Here's McKinley, but watch, he's just going to stay right here like it's a wide receiver screen, but the quarterback doesn't throw it. It's a fake wide receiver screen. Ian Book's looking downfield. He knows that McKinley's still there because the fake was to him, and he ends up becoming the outlet receiver. He started as a decoy, ended up as an outlet receiver, and Notre Dame's first down inside the 5.
41-yard gain. Book up to 254 passing. Nice improvisation there. Blitz by Pitt. Kyron Williams. He could have broken through that tackle from Cam Bright. He had a touchdown. Nice tackle. When we talked to Brian Kelly yesterday, he said one of the great things about Williams, yards after contact. It's hard for that first man to get him down.
He can't believe he got brought down there either.
They've had a 100-yard rusher in 5 straight games dating back to their bowl win against Iowa State in the Camping World Bowl last season. That streak in jeopardy today. They followed Williams up, just 2.2 per carry. He's rushed for 38 yards. They fake it to him. And that should have been intercepted. And Ford can't believe he didn't take it. It was intended for Michael Mayer, and Book's lucky to get away with that.
What a beautiful play by Paris Ford. He was actually guarding the other receiver. He was guarding Tremble, and he saw the quarterback going to Mayer, and he left his man and came to make a play on the football and almost came away with his 4th interception of the season.
Mayer knocked it away. Ford started the day tied for the national lead with 3 interceptions. Book pulls it down and gets taken down short of the line of scrimmage.
This is an impressive defensive stand right now inside the 5-yard line by Pitt, forcing a field goal attempt. They give up the big play on the pass to McKinley and then bow their neck for 3 downs. Even though they're down big on the scoreboard, that was a heck of a stop by this Panther defense.
And no touchdown in the red zone for Notre Dame. Jonathan Dorr, the senior from Charlotte, North Carolina, with the chip shot. Jay Bramlett. 21-yarder is good. First points for either team here in the second half come nearly midway through the third quarter. Number 3, Notre Dame, trying to win its 11th straight dating back to last season. Leading 31-3. The Irish's first road game of the season in Pittsburgh. Back at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Notre Dame leading 31-3. Door kicks off after his field goal. Made the first points of this third quarter. DJ Turner ducks down as he crossed the 20. Here's this week's college football rankings, brought to you by Allstate. Clemson as usual, given a battle by the mighty Orange today.
For a while.
He's hung in there for a while. They were 46-point underdogs. Alabama leading comfortably at Tennessee. We're told Jalen Waddle injured in that game. Ohio State, its season opener with a win over Nebraska. Injured player will be back to Pittsburgh in a moment. Here's a look at today's biggest moments of the game, brought to you by Samsung QLED. And the two biggest plays of this game made by Ben Skoranek, a grad transfer from Northwestern. First two touchdowns as a member of the Fighting Irish. And then Bo Bauer's first career interception set up an Isaiah Foskey block punt, which he recovered himself for a touchdown.
Well, you take a look right here. I mean, Notre Dame just doing a better job of getting those pass plays. That's what's been lacking for them today. They've got it going a little bit.
Taysir Mack, the receiver.
Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, we've played almost 2.5 quarters now, and they are just now barely over 100 yards of total offense. So it's just been a very difficult task against this very solid Notre Dame defense.
Yellen after the 6-yard completion to Mack, gave it to A.J. Davis for about a yard. Here's third down. Joey Yellen, we mentioned, at Arizona State last year, had a very tough year. His brother passed away in the preseason in August, 26-year-old brother. And he did not win the starting quarterback job. Jaden Daniels is a terrific player.
Yes.
He looks like he's going to be the quarterback for the Sun Devils for a while. Yellen decided that he wanted to go in the transfer portal. He lofts one up for grabs, and he's intercepted by Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Second interception thrown by Yellen in this game.
Well, he's working on DJ Turner in the slot. You think maybe that's a matchup that favors you, wide receiver against a rover, but this is a special player. He was right in the hip pocket, got his head and eyes around, and then went up and high pointed the ball. I mean, you just can't play it any better than Jeremiah did right there. And that's why he is one of the guys, when you put film on of Notre Dame's defense, he absolutely flashes all over.
And he can do everything.
He reminds me a lot of Patrick Willis or Roquan Smith, those kind of guys, the weak side linebacker who can play in the slot, and he's today's NFL linebacker. That's why he's going to be a top 20 pick.
First interception of the season, their second of the day. They had one all season, their first 4 games prior to today. Chris Tyree, the ball carrier on first down for the Irish. It's the first career interception for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, known as Woo, to the delight of announcers everywhere.
No kidding.
More pressure from Pitt. Ian Book got it through to Michael Mayer. Down the sideline and shoved out of bounds inside the 30 at the 27-yard line.
See, right now you say, well, why is Notre Dame still throwing 31-3? Why won't they sit on the clock and run the football? They need to keep working on their pass game. Pitt's going to continue to bring pressure and bring added guys to the line of scrimmage. Ian Book and this receiver tight end group are going to continue to try to develop the passing game. I think it's smart. You're working towards the future now in developing your pass game.
This could be a pass from Kyron Williams. It will be. There are all kinds of flags down. Tremble, the intended receiver. The ball went out of the back of the end zone. Damar Hamlin in coverage, and Tremble grabbing his left arm for a moment.
Defense, number 3. 10-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Yeah, Hamlin definitely grabbed him as he was running by him, felt himself getting beat. You see that a lot. Guys just instinctively reach out and grab. Little trick play. Hamlin, outstanding player, but he's beaten right here. He knows he's beaten. He grabs the jersey of Tommy Tremble. Tremble's just so strong, he kind of ran through it, but clearly a penalty.
We're talking about these tight ends, and Brian Kelly says the tight ends have been outstanding all year. Here's Chris Tyree again. We talked off there. It kind of reminds me of when the Patriots had Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. Yeah. They really set up the passing game around the receiving ability of the tight ends. Notre Dame could do that here. We still don't see much from the wide receivers. Skoranek, the two big plays, but you would think they could play with two or more tight ends, spread these guys out, get them down the field.
Well, and again, Skoranek is big also. So I mean, you're talking about three really big bodies, and McKinley's big. So you've got big body guy that, especially in this part of the field, you can do some creative things with.
4.5 to go, third quarter. Brook into a crowd, but he has the big target. It's Michael Mayer for a Notre Dame touchdown.
Ian Book actually almost waited too long. He had Mayer right away and did not throw it right away. Now watch this as Mayer goes open. Right now, he's open. All right, but Ian Book doesn't get him the football there. He drifts, and he almost waits too long, but Mayer's such a big physical target, he went up and fought for the football.
Dorer adds the extra point. 14-yard touchdown to Michael Mayer. (38-3). You're watching college football presented by PlayStation 5. Aerial coverage high above beautiful downtown Pittsburgh, provided by Goodyear. From end zone to end zone, Goodyear, more driven. Season high 291 passing yards for Ian Book. He's thrown 3 touchdowns. All Notre Dame up 38-3. Fair catch made by DJ Turner.
The ruling on the field is the receiver gave a fair catch signal. Because the ball hit the ground, the ball be placed at the spot of possession. First down.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Please reset the game clock to 4 minutes and 22 seconds. 4-2-2.
Tough field position as a result of that miscue on the kickoff for Joey Yellen. And this Pitt offense, they'll start from the 5-yard line.
4-22. 4-2-2.
Yellen, you mentioned, he went in the transfer portal after last season. Said Pitt was one of the first teams to call. Spoke with Mark Whipple, did his research on Mark Whipple. He was highly regarded as a developer of quarterbacks, including Ben Roethlisberger with the Steelers during his rookie year here. He just throws that one up for grabs, and he'll be fortunate if that's not an interception, or is it? The officials are conferring, and it's going to be an interception for Nick McLeod.
He clearly caught the football. It's just a matter of whether he got the 1 foot in bounds. Joey Yellen trying to make something happen. Good positioning by McLeod. There's the catch. There's the foot in.
Did he have possession?
I think he did.
David Tyree-esque there, traveling against his helmet for a bit.
1 interception coming into the game, now 3.
For Notre Dame today. That's the first as a member of the Fighting Irish for Nick McLeod. Grad transfer from NC State. Played in only 2 games last year for the Wolfpack. Had a foot injury at Rock Hill, South Carolina. Creativity, and it got Mayer open. Not a very accurate throw.
It was interesting watching Davis Bevell, the backup quarterback, that last drive. He was shaking his head, clearly frustrated that he was not going out to be the quarterback. And it looks like now he
better button his chin strap now.
Exactly.
I think he's probably going in.
Exactly.
Every time we try to tell a story about Joey Yellen, he throws an interception, comes off the field.
Again, what we're seeing right now is not Brian Kelly or Tommy Rees trying to rub it into Pittsburgh or run up the score. They're trying to continue to work on being a balanced offense. They've got no issues with their running game. They know that that's going to be there. They know what their offensive line's all about. But they need to continue to develop their passing game. You mentioned the most yards they've had in a game. It was the opener against Duke when they had 263. Now they're at 291, and so they're just trying to continue to progress to get where they want to go in a couple weeks.
Todd, we've seen Alabama, we've seen Clemson live, and the difference is the passing attack. I mean, they can play, Notre Dame can play defense with both of those teams. I would argue probably the best defense of the three teams.
On third down, on target, Book, and it's Avery Davis who's had a productive day. Lost the ball, but was out of bounds. First and goal, Irish at the 9, but there is a flag on the play.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense, number 95. The penalty will be enforced half the distance from the end of the run. First down.
Devin Danielson, a guilty party.
Just the push at the end. I don't think he hit him too hard initially, but he pushed him to the ground, maybe a little iffy, but a nice job by Ian Book, seeing the field, reading the coverage, and hitting Davis on the crossing route underneath.
And just to finish the point, I think from an offensive line standpoint, they can match up with any team in the country. Special teams, they're really good. It's the passing game that's holding them back from being as good as Clemson or Alabama at this point.
Well, I think they've taken a big stride forward with that today. Now over 300 yards passing.
Trouble on the handoff to Sebo Flemister. Book stumbled to the ground. There is a flag down as well. They'd also like to get better down here in the red zone.
Defense, number 91, lining up in the neutral zone. Half the distance to the goal. Remains first down.
Now their red zone touchdowns. I mean, you know, the deceiving thing about red zone stats is you see red zone scores, and most teams have a high percentage, but if most of that is field goal and not touchdowns, that doesn't bode well. You need touchdowns and a higher percentage of touchdowns.
And Brian Kelly made a point 3 times they've run out the clock at the end of the half in the red zone. They score in this red zone possession. Sebo Flemister. And the Fighting Irish putting it on their longtime rivals, the Panthers, here in Pittsburgh.
Just great blocking by the left side. Aaron Banks, Liam Eichenberg. Again, this offensive line, Todd just mentioned, as good of a group of 5 guys as you're going to find anywhere in college football. They've got the running game. The passing game has been much better. Again, Ian Book threw for 106 yards last week at home against Louisville. Over 300 yards today.
Jonathan Dorr, the extra point. Brian Kelly said we want more from Ian Book. And he's gotten it today. Clemson the target. They've been the kings of the ACC 5 straight conference titles. There have been programs that have stepped up, tried to knock them from their perch, but it hasn't happened. But now Notre Dame playing a full ACC conference schedule this year. And that showdown looms. There'll be one more game for the Irish after today against Georgia Tech. That should be an easy win for Brian Kelly's team. He said yesterday, if we keep playing like we've been playing, we're not good enough to beat Clemson. Do you think with what we've seen today they are?
I think they've made great strides today. You know, I still think they need to get Lindsey healthy as a speed receiver. I still think they're lacking that a little bit. But the passing game as in general was much more impressive today. Again, they checked, we knew coming into the game, they checked off all the other boxes.
Play with those multiple tight ends and use those big and athletic targets. DJ Turner the fair catch. And now some pushing and shoving and flags flying. 2:42 to go in the third quarter.
Here's the other thing I'll say about Notre Dame. When we had them in the playoff against Clemson a few years ago, I think they're faster on defense right now than they were a couple years ago, too. I think their overall team
after the play was over. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 17 of Notre Dame, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Jordan Botello guilty of the penalty. Well, the Big Ten season is underway today, tonight. The battle for the Little Brown Jug. Michigan and Minnesota, top 25 matchup, 7:30 on ABC. Minnesota off the great year last year. 11-2 with a lot of talent back, including Rashad Bateman, top receiver in the Big Ten last year.
Davis Bevel, first play in, fumbles the snap. Again, just a different feel, different quarterback, different center quarterback exchange.
He'll get his wind sprints in here as they jog back and forth to the sideline to get the plays.
I can't wait to see Bateman. I think he's the best wide receiver in the country that's playing this year. Jamar Chase opted out for LSU.
Bateman had opted out, and then when the Big Ten decided to play, he opted back in. Davis Bevel runs. He's a redshirt freshman from Greenville, South Carolina. He's played sparingly this season. Here are your top receivers, Todd, in the draft. Yeah, terrible news today about Jalen Waddle. He broke his ankle on the opening kickoff of their game against Tennessee.
It's terrible to hear. For Bateman, he's a lot like Juju Smith-Schuster, who everyone here in Pittsburgh knows. He's going to run a 4.55 in the 40-yard dash, but he's going to wind up coming in the league as one of the best rookie route runners and so physical, and the ability to make catches in traffic. I think he's a complete player. And for a guy who doesn't have great speed, he averages over 20 yards per catch.
Well, we did the Minnesota-Penn State game up there. It was a great football game, and he put on a show.
Great atmosphere there, too.
Unbelievable that day.
Bevel sacked by Isaiah Foskey. Ovia Gofu. There's Daniel Carter up the middle. There's Kenny Pickett on the right, out with the injured ankle today. Tough task for Joey Yellen.
Yeah.
They can't run the ball at all. They had 36 yards rushing today, and they don't seem to have anybody who can make a play downfield in the passing game either. Bevel, low throw. Jared Wayne couldn't rescue it. But to get back to Minnesota and Michigan, that'll be a terrific matchup tonight, and we want to send our condolences along to the family of Sid Hartman, legendary sports writer and radio personality for 7 decades in the Twin Cities. He passed away at the age of 100. We mentioned that game last year, announced in Minneapolis. Sid was at the game, covering the game at 99 years old. He had a column that appeared last Sunday on the day he died. Fair catch signal made by Matt Salerno. And a lot of tributes to the great Sid Hartman all week long. There's a statue of Sid. Close personal friend. He was a bit of a name dropper. I loved talking to Sid, but you always talk about, I talked to my close personal friend George Steinbrenner the other day, or Bobby Knight, or Lou Holtz, and the thing is, they all were his close personal friends. He had tremendous sources.
Was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 18 of Pittsburgh. That is 18's first unsportsmanlike conduct of the game. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Shockey Jacques Louis, just a real character. He and my dad were great friends, and we'll miss Sid Hartman. More than 21,000 bylines in the Star Tribune. Rest in peace, Sid. As we said, our condolences to the Hartman family. Son Chad, a terrific sports broadcast in the Twin Cities area as well. There's Brendan Clark in at quarterback now. And he gets a rude greeting. Wrestled down by Kalijah Cansey. Clark's a sophomore from Midlothian, Virginia. Ian Book's day perhaps finished, likely, unless something changes. He threw for 312 on 16 out of 30, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. They wanted to get the passing game going, and they did. Against the defense that was very good prior to today. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. You're watching college football presented by PlayStation 5. This is the ACC on ESPN. First time in their 132-year history. Notre Dame playing in a conference. Here's Brendan Clark, his first completion of this season. To George Takis, yet another tight end. Junior from Naples, Florida, his first catch of the year and third of his career. Clark did see brief action last year in their rout against New Mexico. He also played against Bowling Green. He completed one pass against New Mexico, went for a 22-yard touchdown to Braden Lenzy. He gets hit as he throws, and it's incomplete in the general direction of Joe Wilkins. It's covered by Marquez Williams. Good pressure by Servassier Dennis.
All backup offensive linemen in that possession too, so Brian Kelly getting a chance to work on a little depth behind that veteran unit that he has up front.
The freshman Drew Pine, who has seen action this year behind Book. It's out of New Canaan, Connecticut. Coach Kelly compared Pine to Zach Collaros, a quarterback who had at the University of Cincinnati, who's played in the CFL. Bramlett's punt rolls dead at the 21-yard line. 49-yard punt.
Kevin Nagani in studio with this update. Down 10 in Bloomington. Sean Clifford. How about this? Looking like another Penn State quarterback who wore the number 14. 35 yards. Touchdown. Penn State within 3 against Indiana. Sean, Todd?
It did look like Mr. Blackledge.
I had one run somewhat near that length in my whole career. It was for a touchdown, but I think we fooled the defense. It was an option play against Missouri, and our back went the wrong way, and the safety went with the back, and it just kind of opened up a lane for me. But Sean runs a little better than I did.
How long did
Not
you
you, Sean. Sean Clifford.
I think I run better than you, too. Israel Abanikanda got the carry in the previous play. He's a true freshman running back they think has a bright future. Now that's Shockey Jacques Louis. We can look it up, so give us a rough guess.
43.
You said it like you know that.
Rough guess.
I absolutely remember it. It's the longest I've ever had, ever. So, of course, I remember.
Nick Patty is in at quarterback now. Seems to be more of a running threat. Pretty good thrower, too. That one's on target to Shockey Jacques Louis. We're going to make you Mick Blackledge, too, so you can be McDonough, Blackledge, and Shane Brady.
Yeah, I'm outnumbered, that's for sure.
Patty over the middle. The ball seemed to surprise Taysir Mack. Chance for an interception for DJ Brown, a backup safety, junior from Annapolis, Maryland, getting some playing time now. Pittsburgh just 154 yards of offense. Problem with the snap, but there was a false start first.
False start. Offense. Number 18. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Well, this is 7 games in 7 weeks for Pat Narduzzi and Pitt. The only other team that's played 7 weeks in a row to start the season is UTSA. And it's a team that looks like it could use a week off to regroup. This will be 4 straight losses after 3 wins in a row to open the season. Israel Abanikanda remains the running back. Go to the pistol. Patty, a little bit too high for Taysir Mack in his 3rd year at Pitt after he spent his freshman season at Indiana. Oh, it started very well. 3-0. They got into the top 25, but then a last-second loss to NC State. Boston College, that was excruciating. Kessman kicked a 58-yard field goal, school record, in the final minute to get him in overtime. Then he missed an extra point in overtime.
Yeah.
And without Pickett last week, the loss at Miami.
And even last week, they were in that game. It was 21-16 midway through the third quarter. And they had a couple plays that really set them back, and they never recovered from it. 3 of Miami's touchdowns, 3 of De'Aaron King's touchdown passes last week were gifts. I mean, they were just wide open guys. And other than that, it was a defensive performance. They had 15 tackles for loss. They intercepted De'Aaron King twice.
Patty ran for 13 there, excuse me, Todd, but not enough for the first down, so they're going to punt on 4th and 2.
I'm just curious why they didn't let Davis Bevel finish this game. I mean, you've already played him, and if he's one of your future guys, and he had 1 possession, right? Is that all he was in for?
2 at most. Kirk Christodoulou, good punt. There's a flag down. Fair catch made by Matt Salerno. Yeah, Todd McShay said it seemed like Bevel was
illegal formation.
And then when he did get in,
5 players lined up in the backfield. The 5-yard penalty will be added on to the end of the run. First down.
He threw 1 pass. They're on to their 3rd quarterback of the day. That doesn't count the Wildcat. Timeout here in Pittsburgh.
College football on ABC is presented by PlayStation 5. Play has no limits. And in part by Pacific Life. More than 150 years strong. Trust in your tomorrow.
Cincinnati 28 yards and an extra point away from taking the lead. To the end zone it goes! Caught! Touchdown, Armon Benz!
Cincinnati, one of the great college games ever played in this stadium, led by Brian Kelly. The last-second win, December 5th, 2009. Finished a perfect regular season. It was off to South Bend for Brian Kelly after that year. Tony Pike to Armon Benz, and Brian said the other day, yeah, here's how smart I am. I wanted to take Tony Pike out of the game. They put him back out there. 5 days later, it was announced that he had taken over at Notre Dame for Charlie Weiss. He did not coach the Bearcats in the Sugar Bowl. And, he's coached close to 400 college games. I've announced at least that many. And we both agreed in the conversation that that's one of the best college football games either one of us has ever seen or been a part of.
Well, and you know, kind of, he also said, you know, the snow and being here in Pittsburgh and cold and gray, it just kind of felt like the perfect kind of football day.
Problems with snaps for Pittsburgh on extra points. It's Jafar Armstrong again. There is a flag down.
Holding. Offense. Number 76. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
And the unfortunate thing on the clip that we showed, it was the second best call at best of that touchdown. Dan Horde on Cincinnati radio really nailed the call.
A real pro. Correction, the penalty is half the distance. Second down.
He's in the University of Cincinnati Hall of Fame. A very popular broadcaster, as he should be. And the anniversary, that would have been last year, right? Fendi University, Cincinnati made a bobblehead. I wish I brought it. I showed it to you the other day.
Yeah, you showed all of us.
It's Pike and Benz, yeah. And if you push a little button on the bobblehead, it interspliced Dan's call of it with my call of it. We were both fortunate to be here. This game not quite as tight. Jafar Armstrong again.
Speaking of the Bearcats, the undefeated Bearcats have a big game tonight against SMU, a couple of undefeated teams.
Is that a historic Nippert Stadium? Or on the road?
No, it's down in Dallas. It's at SMU.
A lot of people think they're a sleeper team. Luke Fickell's done a great job to sneak into the college football playoff. They go undefeated.
This will be a good test for him tonight. Shane Buechele still slinging it around down there for SMU.
Third down and 17. Drew Pine is the quarterback. Their third quarterback. Jafar Armstrong again.
You know, we're not going to see any more of the passing game, really, of Notre Dame, and Ian Brooks, long gone, coming back. But they took a major step forward today, Sean. In the first 4 games, they had 8 pass plays of 20 yards or more. Today, they had 6. So, I mean, you know, just that thing that was lagging behind, all the other boxes had been checked through the 4 games. That was what was lagging behind, that pass game and that downfield pass game. And they took a major step forward today.
Jay Bramlett punts. DJ Turner fielded at the 39. He retreated for a while. Now there's a flag down. Nice run back.
Turner on the return.
But you wonder if there was an illegal block during it. Apparently Dwayne Height will tell us about the flag after the timeout. 9:10 to go here in Pittsburgh. Well, we're just 49 minutes away from the start of Saturday Night Football from Minneapolis. The Big Ten underway last night. And tonight we'll have number 18 Michigan and number 21 Minnesota. Michigan has won the last 16 between the two played in Minneapolis. This is a better Gopher team than the Wolverines have typically fared when they've gone to Minneapolis. Israel Abanikanda dropped by Isaiah Pryor, backup linebacker for Notre Dame. He's a transfer from Ohio State. And Abanikanda is down, an apparent right leg injury, out of Brooklyn, New York. Mark Whipple called him the most talented running back as a true freshman. Here's another Pacific Life game summary.
Well, Ian Book in the passing game, 312 yards, a season high, 3 touchdowns. They came into the game on a mission to improve their pass game, to improve their downfield pass game against a very good Pittsburgh defense, and they did that. The Notre Dame defense, meanwhile, just suffocating, absolutely suffocating. Coming to the game with 1 interception. They had 3 today. It was a championship level performance again by this Notre Dame defense, and a much more impressive outing by their offense, particularly the pass game.
Book will go to 25-3 as the starting quarterback at Notre Dame.
And that's the bottom line, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's the bottom line. He wins, the team believes in him, the coaches believe in him.
And both Tommy Rees and Brian Kelly said when the game is on the line, he makes plays. Patty was stripped by Isaiah Pryor, and the Panthers got it back. Ball back on the 16-yard line. Carson Van Lin recovered the fumble. He's a backup tackle getting some action.
You can look at some of these backups in for these edge guys for Notre Dame are good-looking backups. Rangy, tall, rangy, athletic guys that fit this defense of Clark Lee.
And they've done a nice job on Jordan Addison today, too. The true freshman receiver for Pitt was leading the ACC in receiving. I mentioned he was recruited by Notre Dame to be a cornerback, and that's one of the things Brian Kelly said. They like the fact, they like his length. You know, they want long corners. In that secondary, Salerno back for the 8th punt from Kirk Christodoulou, who had one blocked. End of the first half, recovered for a touchdown by Isaiah Foskey, who also blocked it.
Ball start. Offense, number 6. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
So that's the 11th penalty for Pittsburgh. Again, among the most penalized teams in the country. You know, it's year 6 for Pat Narzuzzi. There was an article in one of the local papers here the other day talking about is he under any pressure to retain his job? I think most people feel like no. He has a contract extension through 2024. Kind of dismiss the COVID season, at least a lot of people do. And you know, these schools don't have money now because of the damage done by COVID, the loss of all this revenue. But it's a team that would make you question some of the coaching, the way it is played today. Here. Well, throughout today's telecast, some outstanding views from the progressive pylon cam. Think of all the innovations in college football television over the years. This was one of them, for sure. Jafar Armstrong. I love pylon cam. That's a helpful tool, especially on plays on the goal line, ironically enough. So there it is. Very small camera person in there.
Ed Placey had to go find those guys, right? Isn't he like part of that, the whole creative, you know, the new technology? And
yeah, they actually bury the camera people underground. It's kind of like a periscope. A little oxygen down there and some food. It's not considered a plum assignment on our terrific crew. Jafar Armstrong dropped for a 2-yard loss by Patrick Jones, the terrific defensive end, still out there. I enjoyed our conversation with him yesterday. Molly asked him about being in quarantine. He said, more than anything else, what I took the time to do was get deeper into my faith. Yeah. He said, you have to have time to think about what's happening in the world, the way you're living your life. And
when you think about young people like that and just faced with so much uncertainty, you know, not just about whether you're going to have a football season or not, but so many other things that everybody has had to think about here this year. And for a guy like that, you know, to realize and recognize, hey, this is a great opportunity for me to find what I can really trust in and lean on and believe in.
Number 26. The ball be placed at the spot of the foul. First down.
Justin Tallendier, backup defensive back, called for pass interference. Lawrence Keyes out there in action. We mentioned he's been down in recent weeks with a concussion. We hear that every week when we talk to the players. So grateful for the opportunity to play, because for so long they were afraid there wasn't going to be a season. So have the season. Notre Dame ravaged by COVID. They've powered through it to get to this point. And it's like a pulled hamstring. Boy, Lindsey, who has seen limited time because the hamstring has been an issue, back out there today and clearly injured again.
Officials timeout for injury.
He's one of their guys, as Brian Kelly said, who can beat you deep with his speed, take the top off the defense, as Brian said. He's a 2-time state champ in Oregon in the 400 meters. As they take a look at him, we'll check in back in the studio with Kevin Nagandi.
Sean, want to remind our audience, Minnesota getting ready. PJ Fleck, year number 4 with the Golden Gophers, went 11-2 last season. Their first season with at least 10 wins since 2003. Primetime game as they host Michigan. Also updating you, Penn State getting the ball down by 6 with under 4 minutes to go. Back to you.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Boy, that's tough to see. We mentioned, if you tuned in late, Kevin Austin, who had been out with a foot injury, broke his foot, his left foot, in practice during the week. He didn't make the trip. He's another guy who gives him some speed on the outside.
Yeah, Brian Kelly told us yesterday, said, you know, Lindsey's a guy we got to get healthy and we got to get him rolling, because he gives us a different dimension, and that's going to set him back a little while longer.
That hurts. Because he's their one speed guy. You've got all these 6'3", 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, they do have a lot of big targets they can spread around.
Yep.
And those guys are athletic enough to get open too. Brian Kelly can only shake his head.
Second down, 10.
Second and 10. Drew Pine, the quarterback, true freshman. Excuse me, Brendan Clark back in there. Gave it to Sebo Flemister. He rushed for 4 yards. We're down to 6 minutes to go. Notre Dame leading 45-3. This will be their 11th straight win, which is the longest active streak in FBS football. Career high day for Michael Mayer, the tight end. Both catches with 5 and yards with 73. He's likely to be a spectator. Had a touchdown pass earlier against Florida State. First true freshman tight end to score a touchdown for Notre Dame since Kyle Rudolph. On to a continues a distinguished career at the Minnesota Vikings. Flemister again for 7 yards and a first down.
Well, right now, Notre Dame very content with this performance. It's been a very dominant performance. Pat Narduzzi's team, no answers. Brian Kelly, last week in the game against Louisville, they had 7 offensive possessions. The last possession, they held the ball for 8 minutes. They didn't even score. They ended up kneeling down in the red zone. And they would be happy to do the exact same thing here. Run the rest of this 5 minutes off with a running drive.
Had more than 36 minutes time of possession last week. Against Louisville. Clark Lee said the defense coordinator, it's nice to be the defensive coordinator when you only have to defend about 50 plays.
That's right. Keep guys fresh.
There's another coach who me doesn't get enough credit. Clark Lee in his 3rd year as the defensive coordinator. They were among the best in the country last year. Here's Clark. They were 12th in the country in scoring defense last year, under 18 points per game. They were 4th in the country starting today in scoring defense, 11.5 per game. They're going to improve on that unless something happens. Only Air Force, Oklahoma State, and Marshall holding their opponents to fewer points per game.
Yeah, the only statistical category they weren't super high in was takeaways, and they improved on that today by adding 3. But their situational defense, you know, red zone, 3rd downs, all those kind of things, they've been outstanding. And then obviously scoring defense is what it, you know, what it ultimately comes down to.
I think Clark Lee will be a head coach in the not too distant future. Very bright guy.
Interesting background. He started out as a baseball player at Belmont and then decided to transfer over to Vanderbilt and become a football player. Very smart guy.
Well, you saw that in your own family. Your son Owen heading to TCU to play baseball.
That's right.
Went out for football this year as a senior in high school.
It's one interception after another.
He's an interception machine. Owen had not played football until this year, his senior year in high school in Ohio. And he had been a wide receiver. Out of need a couple weeks ago, they make him a cornerback. So now he's played 2 games at cornerback, and he's had an interception in each one, which makes me.
And the first one was one of the best interceptions we've seen in college. It's not college football, but it's one of the best interceptions we've seen all year.
It was a good one. It could have made Sports Center highlights.
Got his head around, arm up right at the end.
Maybe we could have taken a look at him as a defensive back earlier in the year. I don't want to criticize the coaches. Sure, they're fine men and fine coaches, but a big athlete like that, let's get him out there.
Get him on the field.
Flemister, the ball carrier again. That's for 2 more, so he's getting the bulk of the ball carrying here. He had carried 14 times all year prior to today, and 13 of those were in their route of South Florida in the 2nd game of the season. When he rushed for over 100, they've had 3 different running backs rush for 100 in a game this season. They have a lot of depth.
Well, and it starts with that offensive line. That offensive line is just outstanding.
Flemister again. Well, Todd will be watching with interest as we send it back to Kevin.
Sean, how about Sean Clifford? And going with the deep ball, this time not with the legs, and he does look like the number 14 in the booth next to you. Jahan Dotson, 60-yard connection. Penn State gets the extra point. They're up 21-20, under 2.5 minutes to go.
Now, Sean Clifford, you know, everybody's been waiting to play, anxious to play. I know he's been super excited. He's another Ohio kid, a quarterback. Went to Penn State from the state of Ohio and had a great year last year, and I'm just glad he gets to get out there and lead his team again this year.
Here's Flemister. Bounced out of bounds, shy of the first down. Notre Dame running out the clock. Another time-consuming drive reminiscent of last week against Louisville.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Pittsburgh, here's how bad it's been for them today, Todd. They have 10 first downs. They have 12 penalties. When you have more penalties than first downs, it's a problem. They had 12 pass completions, matching the number of penalties. And it started out so well. They were 3-0.
Yeah.
And with that defense, you're saying, you know, this is a team that may contend for an ACC championship. They went away from the 2 divisions this year, so it's just be the top 2 teams in the conference will play in the championship game. Perhaps Clemson and Notre Dame, but there's a long way to go till then. Speaking of ACC football, tonight on ACC Network, in prime time, Virginia against number 11 Miami, only blemish for the Canes against Clemson.
You know, the one thing that we haven't mentioned yet, but it's worth mentioning, and you know, Clemson still is the number 1 team in the country, and deservedly so, and super talented, a couple generational players. But that game in South Bend in November, I mean, it could be a 70-degree day, but it could also be kind of blustery and cold in South Bend. And you wonder, when's the last time Clemson played an away game in November in a place where the weather could be that kind of inclement? I just think it's
now you have to ask factors. 22 seconds left to go, and we really don't have enough time to try to look that up.
You can ponder it. You can ponder it.
We'll ponder. Answer to come next week. You know who would know that? Mike Tirico. He'll tell us when they play in a couple of weeks. We thank Mike for his help preparing for today's telecast. Jafar Armstrong lost 7. Very impressive win for the Fighting Irish in their first road game of the season. They dominate the Pittsburgh Panthers and win 45-3, outgaining Pitt 434-162. More great action here at ABC in just a matter of a half hour or so with Michigan and Minnesota. For the 2 Todds and Molly, Sean sending you back to the studio. So long, everybody.
Sean, thank you so much. Jim Harbaugh, the opener for Michigan on the road tonight against Minnesota. It's our primetime game, top 25 matchup. Much more on this game to get you ready. Also, highlights, a couple of upsets, and a potential update here from Bloomington between Penn State and Indiana after this.